Hello, my name is David Saucedo and I'm currently studying industrial processes in the group in BIS 51M, and today I'm going to talk about the different or various shape changing processes that exist today. And in this unit we saw around six of them, and on each one we did like a little essay about our opinions, our expectatives of each one of them. And I'm going to start by reading the first essay that I did, which is about hydroforming. It goes like this. I believe that this methodology is a very efficient one because it encompasses very small bendings into the material you are working with. What I mean by this is that you can make a more complex shape to your raw material, usually a metal sheet, just by a single compression. This process is really interesting due to the fact that it uses or involves several physical concepts such as pressure, liquid properties, and flexibility levels. I personally like the hydroforming because of the appliance of liquid into a process you normally wouldn't think it would be necessary. Thanks to the use of the liquid, the whole bending goes very smoothly and leaving the final result with a pretty good cosmetic look or appearance. I would love to be involved with this kind of process in order to have a stronger idea of how it works on all the technical aspects that come with it. This is my overall opinion of the hydroforming, which this process is basically to apply. You have an upper and lower die, and the upper one will apply like pressure over the material that is usually a metal sheet. The metal sheet will be between these two dies, and the interesting part of it is that it uses liquid. That's why it's hydroforming. And this liquid could be either water or oil. And it's basically to spread the oil over the metal sheet, or in many cases you can use like a bag full of it, full of oil or whatever liquid you're using. I have two examples of this. I have it here. You can either make metal jars or hoppers or these kind of shapes that involves many bendings. And the second shape changing process that I want to talk about is the extrusion one, which it goes like I think that this process represents a great way to perform on an industrial level because this one in particular doesn't make mistakes that easily. What I mean by this is that the machine you use for this methodology does basically all the work there is. The extrusion process, explained in a simple way, is to use a machine that takes the raw material on a singular shape in most cases and push it until there is a new shape at the other way or end of the machine. I personally like it very much due to the efficiency in which it works. This process reminds me very much to the Pokayoke's function. They both have similar essence. The extrusion is a very simple yet pretty useful and easy to work, in the sense that you don't have to intervene during the process. If you set the machine and material correctly, you can just look and make sure it comes out the way you want it. So this process, what basically does is to apply pressure from one end. It's always like a cylinder shape, so it's like a tube or like a pipe, and you apply pressure to the material from one end, and then if you apply enough pressure, it will come out in the other end uh, with a different shape. depending on what you want on the cast or the mold is. So for example, you can use either um, you can make aluminum frame or a vacuum drum head, which are like basic structures used in construction or that kind of stuff, because like I said before, it's in a similar shape, so you can use like only like pipe like figures or shapes. The other process that I want to talk about is the punching process. This one of the change this one of the change shape processes that exist currently in our times and for the most needed. The punching the punching consists in having an upper and lower, or maybe just a kind of base die, and the upper one will have a blade with a certain shape cutting through the material. This methodology is very used when a metal sheet follows a certain design in which it is key to have a very specific hole or holes. I believe that this process is very important due to the massive production essence that surrounds it. Like I said before, the punching is just one of the many processes that has the purpose of changing shape to a raw material. But nevertheless, it is very important to distinguish it. In simple words, this methodology represents a more precise and sophisticated way of performing a simple task, such as is the cutting process. For this and many other reasons, it's why we should get involved in this kind of process. So the punching process is basically to make holes to most commonly metal sheets. So it will be like punching, a metal sheet to make a certain design or to follow a specific physical property to whatever use you want to make, depending on your company or your purpose. My example of this will be like metal sheets, like I said before, metal sheets with a specific design, or you can also build a spear top with this. Um, the other process that I want to talk about is the stamping process. I believe that this shape-changing process of the principal scope of existence today is of great interest despite of many opinions saying that it doesn't represent that big of a deal. What I mean by this is the fact that it doesn't deform the raw material to the point that is visible the transformation, at least on a large scale. The stamping process, in simple words, is the methodology used to the purpose of passing a tag with a specific design or information to the raw material. I think that it represents a fundamental part of any kind of production due to the significance of those last steps of the making of any given product. This stamping has the function of tagging a very important information or, with same importance, a symbol or logo that could distinguish that one product from the rest, based on the reputation of the brand. In conclusion, this process could be seen as simple, yet a key one regarding production. So this one is very important because I think is the one that is used, I think, in all kinds of processes, because it tags to the raw material or to the finished or to the finished product the essential information of that product. So in this one, you can stamp either the logo or a certain design or important information or both or whatever you want to tag. I think the stamping is very important and it's the most used in the industry, frankly. So that will be my examples of my essays that I wrote over this unit. And I want to talk about the overall, my opinion in regarding all of these processes, and that is that I really like each one of them because every single process comes with different um, methodologies or techniques or even expectations due to the fact that each one is very different, except maybe for the hydroforming and the forming process, because both of them consist in bending. Only the hydroforming is a more complex shape. For that, it uses liquid. But despite those two, well, the other ones are very different from each other. So we can consider that it, it should be key for the people studying this major, industrial processes, to not to be experts on the field, because we need to like to cover many grounds over this major, like in manufacturing, mathematics, CNCs, design. But what is really important is to have like minimum, like the context of this issue, like to know what are you talking about, and to have like the essence of the knowledge of these shape changing processes. Shape changing processes. Yes. Um, so I think that will be all for me. I think you enjoyed this, and well, see you later.